The Sumerians. In southern Mesopotamia, a remarkable civilization thrived between roughly 4100 and 1750 BCE. Often mistakenly called a country, Sumer was actually a collection of independent city-states, each vying for power under its own king. While lacking a unified political structure, the Sumerians were pioneers in numerous fields. They are credited with innovations so fundamental they seem almost like inventions of time itself. Their system of dividing the day and night into 12-hour periods, further refined into 60 minutes and 60 seconds, is the one we still use today. The Sumerians' ingenuity extended far beyond timekeeping. They established the first schools, birthed the earliest version of the Great Flood story that echoes in biblical narratives, and produced the oldest known heroic epic. These accomplishments were just the tip of the iceberg. Sumerian advancements included the development of a complex bureaucracy, the construction of monumental architecture like ziggurats, and the creation of sophisticated irrigation techniques that transformed the unpredictable Tigris and Euphrates rivers into life-giving arteries. However, by 1750 BCE, the rise of the Amorites and the invasion of the Elamites brought an end to Sumerian dominance. Their cities crumbled and their language faded from everyday use. For millennia, Sumer remained a forgotten chapter in history, known only through fleeting references in ancient texts. The rediscovery of Sumer began in the mid-19th century CE. Archaeologists, searching for evidence to support biblical narratives, stumbled upon something far more profound. Excavations in Mesopotamia unearthed the remains of Sumerian cities, their magnificent architecture, and most importantly, their clay tablets filled with cuneiform script. These discoveries shed light on a lost civilization and revealed the true origins of many ideas and inventions previously attributed to others. The Sumerians, whose origins remain shrouded in mystery, were firmly established in southern Mesopotamia by 2900 BCE. Modern scholars have divided this region's history into 6 distinct eras. Ubaid period, circa 5000 to 4100 BCE. The origins and culture of this period's people remain unknown. However, intriguing artifacts hint at their presence, possibly laying the groundwork for the later city-states. Uruk period, 4100 to 2900 BCE. This era witnessed the rise of true cities, evolving from the Ubaid settlements. Early dynastic period, 2900 to 2334 BCE. Kingship emerged, governments and bureaucracies were established, and competition for resources fueled conflict among city-states. Notably, Inembaragesi of Kish led Sumer against Elam in the first documented war around 2700 BCE. Akkadian period, 2334 to 2218 BCE. Sargon of Akkad conquered Sumer, establishing a vast empire with Sumer at its core. He ensured control through trusted officials, including his daughter Enheduanna, the world's first known named author. Gutian period, circa 2218 to 2047 BCE. The Akkadian Empire crumbled and the Gutians took hold until their expulsion by the rulers of Ur. Ur-Thra period, 2047 to 1750 BCE, also known as the Sumerian Renaissance, Ur-Nammu and his son Shulgi ushered in a cultural revival, rebuilding Sumerian influence. Throughout these periods, trade flourished, enriching the cities and fostering innovation. Scholar Samuel Noah Kramer identified 39 firsts credited to the Sumerians, showcasing their remarkable contributions. Social and political spheres, first schools, first recorded instances of flattery and juvenile delinquency, first war of nerves, first bicameral congress, first historian, first tax reduction, First leader to liberate his people, similar to Moses. First legal precedent. Science and technology. First pharmacopoeia, list of medicinal substances. First farmer's almanac. First attempt at shade tree gardening. Mankind's first theories on the origin of the universe, cosmogony and cosmology. First set of moral ideals. Literature and law. First literary work, Job. First proverbs and sayings. First animal fables. First literary debates. Stories with parallels to biblical narratives. First flood story, similar to Noah. First tale of resurrection. First hero slaying a dragon, akin to St. George. First instance of literary borrowing. Mankind's first heroic age. First love song. First library catalogue. First mythical time of peace and prosperity. Golden Age. Society and culture. First critique of society. Sick society. First religious mourning songs. Liturgic laments. First messiahs, saviours sent by gods. First long-distance athletic competition. First use of figurative language in literature. First use of sex symbolism. First portrayal of a suffering mother, Mater Dolorosa. First lullaby. First literary portrait. First poems of mourning, elegies. First documented labour uprising. First aquarium. The Sumerians are also credited with inventing the concept of the city, and Uruk stands as a strong contender for the title of oldest city in the world. Other prominent early Sumerian cities include Eridu, Ur, Lhasa, Isin, Adab, Kulla, Nippur, and Kish. The heart of each city was the temple complex, dominated by the majestic ziggurats, architectural marvels that would inspire the later legend of the Tower of Babel. Each city had its patron deity, with Eridu and its god Enki holding a special place in the Sumerian worldview. Eridu, the divine city and a shifting landscape. While modern archaeology crowns Uruk as Mesopotamia's oldest city, the Sumerians themselves held Eridu in a class of its own. They believed Eridu, presided over by the wise water god Enki, was the world's first city. According to their mythology, Enki himself raised Eridu from the marshlands, establishing both the concept of kingship and order in the world. This mythical Eridu became a golden age, comparable to the biblical Garden of Eden, a place where gods dwelled and the rules of civilization, known as the Me, were born. Eridu's fall wasn't a consequence of human sin, but rather a clever maneuver by a powerful goddess. The poem Inanna and the God of Wisdom tells the tale of Inanna, goddess of Uruk and daughter of Enki, travelling to Eridu. Through cunning and perhaps a few drinks, Inanna persuades her tipsy father to relinquish the mare to her. Swiftly, she takes the tablets back to Uruk, solidifying its preeminence and diminishing Eridu's standing. Modern scholars believe this myth reflects a shift in Sumerian society. Eridu, with its association with agriculture, symbolized an earlier way of life. Inanna's rise, representing the urban center of Uruk, reflects the growing importance of cities in the region. A divine mandate, Sumerian government and religion. Religion permeated every aspect of Sumerian life, shaping their government and social structure. The Sumerians believed the gods created order from primordial chaos, and humanity's role was to act as co-creators, maintaining that order. However, the gods held the ultimate power and would resort to restoring chaos if human noise and trouble became unbearable. The Sumerian Eridu Genesis, circa 2300 BCE, a precursor to flood stories like the one in the Bible, narrates the destruction of humanity by a flood, all except for Yasudra, who heeded Enki's warning and built an ark. After the flood, the gods, seeking to control the burgeoning population and their pesky tendencies, introduced death and disease, re-establishing order by limiting human lifespans and ambitions. This divine mandate called for cooperation among humans. The Sumerians valued individuality, evident in the rise of city-specific patron deities and intercity rivalries. Yet the gods demanded a degree of unity for the common good. The Sumerian king list, circa 2100 BCE, chronicles kings dating back to the world's creation when kingship originated in Eridu. The first verifiable king, Etana, earned the title he who stabilized all the lands. The list progresses chronologically, though often with exaggeratedly long reigns, culminating in kings around 2100 BCE. The city-state was governed by the Lugal, literally big man, a king responsible for cultivating land and ensuring the god's will on earth. These Lugal originally led close-knit communities that shared resources, a model that would continue to influence urban power structures. The Sumerians, with their innovative agricultural practices and divinely mandated social order, fundamentally reshaped human civilization. A flourishing civilization and its enduring legacy. Sumerian cities grew and thrived, driven by a spirit of innovation and expansion. During the Uruk period, their cultural development reached a peak, culminating in the groundbreaking invention of writing around 3600 to 3500 BCE. This early form of communication emerged from the need for long-distance coordination in trade. These early clay tablets documented basic information like 2 sheep, 5 goats, kish, but lacked nuance. Over time, the system matured, blossoming into the writing system used for literary masterpieces like the Epic of Gilgamesh and Enheduanna's hymns. Sumerian became the dominant language of Mesopotamia, and their cuneiform writing system would later be adapted for other languages. By the late 4th millennium BCE, Sumerian culture, religion, architecture, and other cornerstones of civilization were firmly established. Their rich literary heritage influenced countless writers, including the authors of the Bible. Tales like the myth of Adapa, the Eridu Genesis, and the Atrahasis echoed in biblical narratives of the Garden of Eden, the fall of man, and the Great Flood. Enheduanna's works became models for later liturgy. Mesopotamian animal fables inspired Aesop, and the Epic of Gilgamesh found echoes in the Iliad and Odyssey. The concept of a god residing in a city temple, alongside the distinctive shape and size of the Sumerian ziggurat, is believed to have influenced the development of the Egyptian pyramid and their beliefs about their own gods. Sumerian concepts of time and writing systems were also adopted by neighboring civilizations. Their cylinder seals, a unique form of personal identification, remained in use in Mesopotamia until the fall of the Assyrian Empire in 612 BCE. However, despite their remarkable contributions, Sumerian culture began to wane long before its ultimate collapse. The civilization met its demise around 1750 BCE with the Elamite invasion. While Shulgi of Ur had attempted to fortify their borders with a great wall in 2083 BCE, its faulty construction allowed invaders to bypass it with ease. The decline of Sumerian culture arguably began with the rise of the Amorites in Babylon. A shift in cultural influence was evident, particularly in the changing dynamics of the Mesopotamian pantheon. The rise of the Semitic Amorites, and specifically the reign of Hammurabi, 1792 to 1750 BCE, ushered in a period of dominance for male deities. Temples dedicated to goddesses were replaced or marginalized, reflecting a decline in their status. This shift coincided with a decrease in women's rights, which had traditionally been on par with those of men. Overuse of land, urban sprawl, and constant conflict are also cited as factors contributing to the fall of the Sumerian cities. The correlation between the decline of female deities and women's rights remains unclear. It's a mystery whether one caused the other or they were both symptoms of a larger societal shift. However, it serves as a poignant detail in the decline of a culture that once held women in high regard. By the time the Elamites invaded, Sumerian culture was already a fading echo of its former glory. The Elamites merely delivered the final blow, but the embers of Sumerian innovation continued to illuminate the path of future civilizations. Unearthing a lost world, the rediscovery of Sumer. For millennia, the Sumerians, a civilization with profound contributions to world culture, slumbered beneath the sands of time. References to them in ancient texts, like the biblical land of Shinar, remained enigmatic puzzles. Scholars lacked the context to grasp the true significance of these allusions. The mid-19th century CE marked a turning point. Fueled by a desire to validate biblical narratives, Western expeditions set out for the Near East, their mission to unearth physical evidence supporting the stories of the Old Testament. Back then, the Bible held the unchallenged position of the oldest and most original written work. Creation myths, like the Garden of Eden and the Great Flood, were believed to be divinely inspired or even penned directly by God. These archaeologists, on a quest to solidify this view, stumbled upon something far more extraordinary: Sumer. Their discoveries revolutionized our understanding of history. They unearthed the remnants of a lost civilization, a cradle of innovation whose influence echoed in biblical narratives. Sumerian cities, temples, and most importantly, their clay tablets filled with cuneiform script began to paint a picture of a complex and sophisticated society that predated the biblical world.